Sometimes we get so caught up in the endless chatter of our mind that we forget there is a whole world beyond the noise, a vast, unexplored space where fear loses its grip and our true self can finally breathe. Think about it. Every time you see something as simple as a rose, without even pausing, you might find yourself saying, "It's beautiful." But have you ever stopped to ask, whose words are these? More often than not, that declaration is not your own spontaneous experience, but rather an echo of something someone said long ago. A parent, a teacher, or a friend whose words have become a tape recording in your mind. In that automatic response, the mind repeats what has been programmed into it since childhood. It is not an experience that comes from you in the pure, unfiltered moment, but rather a rehash of conditioned phrases that have no room for the unique, immediate beauty of the present. The truth is, fear exists only in that very mechanism of the mind, a collection of old programs, memories, and voices that were once relevant, but now simply hold you back. Our mind, so expertly designed to repeat these patterns, has little capacity for self-deprogramming unless we begin to observe it. Imagine if, instead of automatically saying "it's beautiful," you paused, really looked at the rose, and wondered if that response belonged to you, or if it was simply a mirror of your childhood. Such simple curiosity can open the door to understanding that you are not your programming. You are not that set of conditioned responses that dictate how you see the world. Rather, you are the observer, the one who has the power to step back and notice that these responses have been imposed on you, and that you can choose to let them go. Our journey toward fearlessness begins with this very act of observation. At a young age, we absorb so many voices: our mother's cautious warnings, our father's advice, the opinions of every person around us, and they slowly carve a template into our mind. By the age of 5, many of us become so identified with these programmed responses that we forget the expansive freedom that lies beyond them. The mind becomes a mechanism, an endless loop of familiar patterns that tell you to avoid the unknown, to stick with what is safe and known. And while this routine may offer comfort, it also means that every new, unfamiliar situation is met with resistance. The moment you try to step out of your well-worn path, the mind shouts, "Don't do that. It's risky." And that fear of error, of the unknown, prevents you from learning and growing. But life, in its wild and unpredictable nature, is meant to be a constant learning process, a trial and error journey where every mistake teaches you something new. If you never leave the safety of the familiar, you never learn, you never evolve. Neurosis, that persistent feeling of being stuck in a rut, is the mind's way of saying that it is no longer learning, that the same old programs have taken over. To break free from this cycle, you must start by realizing that every time you feel fear in the face of something new, it is an invitation to learn. It is the mind's programmed response to say, "This is strange. Don't try it." And yet, the miracle of life lies in embracing the unknown, in daring to jump into experiences that the conditioned mind would rather avoid. When you move deeply into meditation, you begin to see that the very emotions you have been taught to suppress, fear for instance, are not part of your essential being at all. They are merely ripples on the surface of your true nature, responses that have been conditioned into you by external influences. If you allow yourself to become aware of these programmed responses, to watch them as they arise and pass away, you start to create a distance between who you truly are and the mind's incessant commentary. This is not an intellectual exercise. It is a direct, experiential process where you learn to separate yourself from the mind's mechanism. And in that space of awareness, you realize that fear is not an inherent part of you. It is simply a relic of outdated programming that you have the power to erase. There comes a moment, as you continue to observe and to practice this inner detachment, when you begin to see that the same energy the mind uses to propagate fear can be redirected toward love. It is not about fighting fear head-on by trying to force it out. That only makes it stronger. Instead, when you let go of the need to control, when you choose to embrace life with an open heart, the space that fear once occupied naturally fills with love. And it is love, pure, unconditioned, spontaneous love that has the power to conquer even death. In those moments when you are completely absorbed in love, when your heart is so open that you let the presence of another dissolve all boundaries, fear ceases to exist. There is no room for the dread of loss, because you are too deeply immersed in the sheer joy of being. Yet many of us struggle to allow love to come in. We build walls around our hearts, not out of malice, but out of the habit of protection. We fear that if someone comes too close, they will see the emptiness beneath the surface, the parts of us that we have long buried under layers of conditioning. This fear of intimacy is really a fear of ourselves, a fear that our true, unadorned self, with all its imperfections and vulnerabilities, might not be enough. And so we keep others at arm's length, engaging in relationships only on the superficial level, never daring to fully expose the depths of our soul. But if you can learn to accept that inner emptiness, to see it not as a void, but as a potential space for infinite love, then you can begin to let others in. In doing so, you transform your relationships into a mirror of self-love, where you see not only yourself, but the divine spark in every other person. In those moments of genuine connection, the illusion of separation falls away, and you realize that love is the very essence of life. The process of trusting yourself and others begins with a deep, honest acceptance of what is inside you. Instead of trying to purge fear by force or by striving for an unattainable state of fearless perfection, you allow yourself to notice fear, to welcome it as one of the many colors of your emotional palette. Accept that fear exists and that it has its place, a place that signals when you are about to step beyond the familiar and venture into new territory. And then, with a gentle courage, you move forward anyway. You allow yourself to tremble, to feel uncertain, but you do not let that trembling stop you from taking a step. In fact, every tremor becomes a testament to your aliveness, a reminder that you are in motion, learning, growing, and ultimately transforming. There is no escape from the mechanism of your mind, but you can learn not to be ruled by it. You learn to observe the programmed responses, the automatic, "it's beautiful," the automatic, "don't do that," and recognize that they are not you. You are the observer, the witness, the one who stands at a safe distance and sees things as they truly are. And as you cultivate that awareness, you begin to dismantle the old programs that have kept you in a state of perpetual fear. This is not a battle to be fought with force. It is a gentle, persistent process of unlearning and relearning. It is about letting your natural curiosity guide you, about allowing yourself to ask, is this really my experience, or just a conditioned response? And when you find that it is merely a repetition of someone else's words, you can choose to let it go, to rewrite that inner dialogue with something that comes from the depths of your own authentic being. The journey toward fearlessness is not one of immediate transformation, but of gradual awakening. It requires that you be patient with yourself, that you do not rush the process or force a state of being that is not yet ready to emerge. Do not set a goal of being fearless, for that is a trick of the mind that creates more anxiety and a constant feeling of incompleteness. Instead, simply commit to being present, to fully experience each moment as it comes, with all its uncertainties and possibilities. When you make living in the present your practice, you find that the mind's compulsive need to predict, to plan, and to worry falls away naturally. And in that spaciousness, you are free to move, to love, to trust, without reservation. There will be moments when the fear still whispers to you, when it tries to hold you back from taking that next step. In those moments, do not fight the fear. Simply notice it. Acknowledge its presence, but do not let it define you. Remember that fear is not a permanent part of you. It is a fleeting guest that comes and goes. And every time you let it pass, every time you allow yourself to continue on your journey despite the trembling in your heart, you strengthen the part of you that is pure and unbounded. In the end, finding a way to fearlessness means realizing that there is nothing to lose. You come into this world empty-handed, and you will leave it the same way. All the material things, all the social labels, all the conditioned responses, they are transient and can never truly belong to you. What remains is your essence, your spirit, your capacity for love and joy. When you trust yourself completely, when you allow that inner light to shine without fear of judgment or rejection, you open the door to a life of profound freedom, a life where every breath is a celebration of existence, where every moment is a dance with life and death, and where fear, in all its forms, gradually melts away into nothingness. So let your life be a testament to the power of trust and love. Let each day be an invitation to move beyond the old programs of your mind, to embrace the unknown with curiosity rather than dread. Allow yourself to be vulnerable, to be open, and to accept that the journey will always have its challenges, its moments of trembling, and its inevitable uncertainties. But know that these moments are not signs of weakness. They are the very proof of your aliveness. With every step you take into the unknown, with every moment of honest, raw experience, you are building a life that is not governed by fear, but uplifted by love. A life where, in the deep silence of your own being, you discover that fear is just a shadow, and love is the light that makes everything possible. Remember, nothing can be taken away from you if you allow yourself to let go, if you let the conditioned responses fade and allow your true self to emerge. Embrace every moment, every breath, every heartbeat as a miracle of life. And in that miraculous journey, trust that the mystery of existence will always guide you, that every experience, whether tinged with fear or filled with love, is a step toward the ultimate freedom of being fully, completely alive.